Welcome to another edition of SVSU Red Alert, your weekly update on Saginaw Valley State University athletics. I'm your host, JJ Boehm. The SVSU football team won the Axe Bowl over Northwood and now sits alone in first place in the GLIAC North Division. We'll talk about that with SVSU head football coach Jim Collins, and we'll get an update on SVSU women's tennis with head coach Jenn. That's all ahead on SVSU Red Alert. Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. The Axe Trophy is once again in the Cardinals' possession as they knocked off Northwood 28-20. I'm joined by SVSU football coach Jim Collins. And Coach, first of all victories are good victories, but this one means a little more than some.
It was great to hoist the axe at the end of that one, JJ. You know, the excitement of the fans and the way it ended with a fourth down stand by our defense. All that drama involved, like, the usual Northwood Saginaw Valley game, but to hoist the axe at the end, what a great feeling.
And it was another great atmosphere at Wick Stadium as well. And I'll tell you what, you're finding different ways to win football games through these first 3 weeks.
It's really, we've been a resilient team because, there were some things that happened in that game that could have gotten us down, and it did it. We responded every time. They get an interception return for a touchdown. We respond with a touchdown of our own, and then to start the half out, you go in at halftime all fired up, to come out with a bang, and you fumble the kickoff, and they return for a touchdown, and then you're still able to get the ball back and drive. So we've been a resilient group. Defensively, we really stepped up, though. We really stepped up big.
And this is a team that through 3 weeks, you have to give them credit. They've come up with a critical fourth quarter touchdown drive in every game. At the same time, you've lost the turnover battle all 3 games. I mean, have you ever been around a team that defies convention as much as this one has through 3 weeks?
It's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing from the standpoint that we've overcome the turnovers. The bad thing is we don't want it to become a pattern. And, the turnovers we had Saturday, as costly as they were, didn't cost us the game. We've got to learn from it. And we just got to keep working on protecting the football. And we emphasize the heck out of it. We just got to keep emphasizing it and hope to get better. But at the same time, the ability to overcome those mistakes is really a testament to the character we have on this team, and it's good to see.
And you mentioned the defense. They played a truly remarkable game when you consider they only really gave up 2 field goals because the other points that Northwood got were on returns.
From a standpoint of looking at it as the head coach, I feel bad that it shows 20 points on the scoreboard because of our defense playing so well. And as I said, the last fourth down stand was so appropriate for them to be able to stop them and hold them out. Great to see the improvement of the defense, and they rose to the challenge. We challenged them at the beginning of the week. No big plays, stop Northwood's offense, and I think they did a great job of it.
They certainly did, and boy, there are a lot of highlights in this game, including one catch in particular by Nick Galena that I think is going to be talked about for the rest of the season. But as we look at what the Cardinals were able to accomplish against Northwood, a lot of big plays throughout the course of this football game.
We knew it was going to take big plays, and that's what we've been living with the last 3 weeks is big plays. The first touchdown to Galena is a big play right down the middle of the field in cover 2, and then the second one, they turned him loose in man coverage. And, John threw it out there for him, and Nick, dramatically and acrobatically makes the catch and then, got the whole crowd. The student section was right there to see it, and it was an exciting play. Those are the key plays that help you win football games.
And you got some very good pressure on Northwood's quarterback when they did go into passing situations as well.
We talked about that, JJ. What we needed to do against a team like Northwood is force a lot of second and longs and get them out of their rhythm. And we had 12 tackles for losses and 4 sacks. And from a defensive standpoint, that's what you're looking for. We only created the 1 turnover, but, at the same time, being able to force all those negative plays was huge for us.
And Jeff Heath by himself had 4.5 tackles for loss. But again, he had a lot of help because it was spread around. You look at the other guys, I think there's 7 or 8 guys who wind up with at least 1 tackle for loss.
We did a great job of running the football. That was the key. And I thought we played with great speed. And as I watched the video and then watched from the sideline, that's what I saw. I saw a team that really, from a defensive standpoint, had a great understanding of what Northwood was trying to do, and we were at the football. We had people around the football all day.
And you had some plays that may get overlooked a little bit, but I think about that one catch by Zach Sesich down the sidelines as well, where the quarterback just gives his tight end a chance to make it, and that winds up proving to be a pivotal play.
Exactly, because that set up the first touchdown, and that was a great catch by Zach, by the way, because he had a guy hanging all over him, and John made a good throw. He put it where only our guy could go up and get it, and Zach went up and got it, got 1 foot down in bounds, had the presence to do that. That was a huge and a key play in that football game.
And when you look back at that touchdown catch by Nick Galena, what concentration does it take to be able to go and find the football in that situation where you're diving, you know it bounces up in the air, and now you got to find it and still try and catch it?
Incredible body control, really. And you know, that's something that, and I told our guys all along, we've got to make key plays under pressure in critical situations. And Nick was able to do that. And to be able to follow through and do that, I think shows what type of player he is. And, you know, we've been able to do that week in and week out. We've made a key play to help us win the game, and obviously that was big.
And then the other key play comes in the fourth quarter when you put together a 90-yard drive. But, you know, on fourth down, you elect to go for it, and you go with the quarterback keeper. And then when John Jennings got the edge, he showed some impressive speed.
Well, we had 4 fourth downs in that game where we were a little bit out of field goal range, but not quite where a punt would have helped us enormously. And that was another one of those situations. We knew it was important to get that fourth down right there to get the game iced. Now, we didn't know it was going to go for a touchdown, but when they got in their goal line defense, without a safety in the middle of the field, we knew we had a chance. And once John, he was patient enough to wait for the blocks to set up, and then once he broke through, he really showed his speed.
And he was a bigger part of the running game than he has been in previous games. I think he finishes with 89 total rushing yards.
He was big, and because of the way Northwood was playing us up front, the quarterback run game became a bigger part of the plan as the game progressed. And in those critical fourth downs and third and shorts, we needed him. You know, we need to make sure we had enough blockers to block everybody they had crowding the line of scrimmage, and that's where your quarterback run game really comes into play.
But he also had 3 touchdown passes as well. So, I mean, you look at what he's been able to accomplish throwing the football through these first 3 weeks, he's put a lot of points on the board.
Well, the thing about John right now is he's got a good command of what we're trying to do and how we're trying to attack the defense. And I think we've proven now that we can run it and we can throw it with John. And to have that balance and have that dual threat's really going to help us.
And really, this was a good team effort in terms of, as you said, not a lot of adversity, but when there was, they were able to overcome it and rise to the challenge.
You know, great comment, JJ, because our team seemed very composed on the sidelines the whole night. And I thought with the bad things that happened with the interception return and the fumble return, you know, at any one of those points, we could have hung our heads or gotten down on ourselves or panicked a little bit, and we never did. We kept our poise the whole game. Even that last drive, you could see everyone on that sideline, including the people on the field, believed we were going to stop them.
And that's ultimately what happened, and it all leads to a Cardinal victory, and that means that SVSU is undefeated going into homecoming when they host the Hillsdale Chargers. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but when we come back, we'll be joined by SVSU wide receivers coach Dan Fodrocy. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
This week's Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week is Sam Eccles. Eccles, a senior midfielder for the SVSU women's soccer team, excelled in her leadership role in the match against Michigan Tech on Sunday, 9/25, as the Cardinals prevailed 3-0. Eccles scored unassisted just 10 minutes into play, going up 1-0 over the Huskies. Eccles scored her second goal on the contest, extending the Saginaw Valley lead to 2 on a give-and-go pass from Olivia Perrin. Eccles leads the SVSU squad in shots with 23. Sam Eccles, your Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm joined now by SVSU wide receivers coach Dan Fodrocy. Dan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And let's talk a little bit about your position group this year, because you've got an interesting one. You've got 2 seniors, and then virtually everybody else is sophomores and freshmen.
Well, we are young. You know, Mike and Nick are seniors that have done a great job for us, and they've played here, not only just as, not like they're playing as seniors. You know, they've played here in this program, in this conference for a couple of years now, but we're really relying on a lot of sophomores, even a couple redshirt freshmen, guys that are really having to step up earlier than you would like to expect in a normal program because of some injuries. Things like that. It really has to push those guys to the forefront. That's okay, and they're playing well, but we got to continue to get a lot better.
What does that mean for you as a coach when you're working with a group like this, where you do have, again, the two seniors who have been around the program for a long time?
Well, I think it's challenging. Anytime you got to work with a group of young guys, you see that at times. You see our youth show up at times with guys like Jeff Janis, with Mike Albrecht, guys that are in there and they're playing. You see them make young mistakes, and that's okay, but we've got to get those things corrected. You see Nick and Mike make plays, and you see their experience come through. You see Nick make a couple big catches. Those are expectations of guys because they've made those plays before, but now those young guys have to understand how important small things are. And when they start getting those things, you see them play really well. And when they start kind of falling back on their youth and understand they think they can get by sometimes, it really hurts them. But at times, you really see them showing really, really good potential. And we really are very excited about the future as well as this season with those young guys playing.
You mentioned the little things. How important is that for a wide receiver? Most people think you just run out there, catch the football, right?
Little things are 100% of us, especially as a receiver crew. It's what we've been talking about since day one. You go back to every single play that we've made this season or not made, and it always comes back to something small that we either did to help us make that play or something small that we didn't do that cost us making that play. There's hundreds of examples this season already, only in 3 games, and there's going to continue to be more. But little things are everything, and every time you go back, and I've been coaching now for just a short period of time, but in my short career, every year that we've had success or every year that we've had failure at certain different schools or programs that I've been at, as well as a player, it's always small things that cost you. Very rarely is it a massive bust like a alignment issue or not having enough guys out on the field. Those are easy things. Those are things that are very simple to correct. But it's something small like your stance. It's something small like having your hands in the right position to catch the football, not letting the ball get into your body, not jumping when you need to just keep your feet on the ground. So I think we can make corrections and continue to get better. That's what's exciting about my group, is I think we have a lot of potential to get better, but potential only gets you so far. And these young guys have to step up, as well as Nick and Mike have to lead those guys in a really good direction like they're doing right now.
You mentioned your career. Obviously, you had a fine playing career here at SVSU, had a couple of other stops before you come back. But what's it been like for you to return and coach at your alma mater?
Well, it's awesome. Me and my wife were both alumni here, and so to come back was an opportunity that we had been hoping for a long time. We had really wanted to come back. Her family's from here, my family is from on the other side of the state. So to come back, there's a lot of familiarity coming back to the program, being able to see people that I know, being able to see you, JJ, and Dave on the road and be able to see some friendly faces as opposed to having to meet a whole new variety of people, from friends to coaches to players. And then obviously anytime you get to come back and coach at your alumni, there's always a special feeling. And I really express that sentiment to my guys, especially during Northwood, as well as the first 2 games, that, guys, this is important for me, not as your coach, but also as an alumni, a guy that played on the same field, although it's new turf, the same field, dressed in the same locker room, walked out in the same direction as you guys. I know exactly what you guys are going through, and it's important for me to see them guys have success.
What are you going to stress now the rest of the season, and what do you hope to see from this group going forward?
Well, our expectations have to rise. I hope, and we stress it every day in our meetings, every day on the field, our expectations are that you're going to do the small things and that's going to get it done. We don't ever go out and catch the football and say, wow, that was a great catch. That's expectation. Galena and Janice and Mike Peterson and Mark Thrash, those guys have made plays for us this season. That's the expectation. And every time that bar gets raised, the bar has to get raised even more for us to be able to go out and win. We don't have an easy schedule coming up by any means. We play the best teams in the conference. And we got to be able to go out there and understand that to beat those teams, you have to play better and better and better, because you don't get any off weeks this upcoming next couple weeks we have.
Well, hopefully they continue to play well and rise to those expectations. Dan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And when we come back, we'll get an update on SVSU women's tennis with head coach Jenn Boehm. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
You see them every day, filling their time with empty tasks and outmoded displays of masculinity.
They're adult men, and each one is precious.
Fortunately, there's help.
Right now, there's boys like me ready to be matched.
Just waiting to share our wisdom and friendship as little brothers. If you're a man, please contact Big Brothers, Big Sisters. It's not too late to help you.
back to SVSU Red Alert. The SVSU women's tennis team claimed their first victory over the weekend over the Findlay Oilers and now host 3 home matches this week. I'm joined by SVSU head women's tennis coach and my wife, Jenn Boehm. Jenn, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, anytime.
And first of all, how good did it feel to finally get that win down at Findlay? Because not only do you win impressively 9-0.
Right. Yeah, we were ready for a win. I mean, we knew, even when I look back at the schedule last spring, I was looking at it and I was like, okay, got our first 3 matches are going to be the toughest. And after watching Wayne State beat Grand Valley, which was a little surprising, we realized we had the 4 toughest matches right off the bat. So we were ready and it felt good. I think our team, it was a little bit of a switch in gears as far as, going from playing one of the best teams in the league to one of the bottom teams in the league just in style of play. So that adjustment was a little trickier than I think the girls anticipated. But they came up and won all 9 matches and left feeling good.
And even though I know you didn't get any team victories early on, I know that there were some individual things that, as a coach, you had to be pleased about. I think back to your match with Grand Valley, where #1 doubles team Jasmine Shangwan and Megan Woody are down 6-1, rally to win 9-7.
Yeah, that was fun. And I think, I wish we could have taken a little bit more momentum from that, but it was fun to see them kind of come together. They were playing a little bit separate-minded and really didn't believe in themselves enough in the first, 6 or 7 games of that match, and it was kind of a quick turnaround. We tried to keep things light, and 1 game at a time started coming back, and it was inspiring for our team to see, and we were able to get another win at 1 singles from Jasmine. So to have the top of your lineup beat a nationally ranked team feels good. It just shows us that we need to really work on the depth of our roster, and that's what we're going to be focusing on, trying to strengthen that the rest of this year and then looking for, some recruits to fill in for next season.
And what's it been like for you to work with a team that doesn't have any seniors as well, because you've got a small program to begin with and they're all juniors, sophomores, and freshmen? Right.
It's interesting. I think one thing that we knew going into it would be kind of who was going to fill that leadership void, who's going to keep everybody on track. I think it kind of fell on my shoulders a little bit to try to work on cultivating that a little more in our team. And we have some juniors, but I think one thing I've really been impressed with is how everyone's been coming together and been a stronger team. I think anytime we go out, I still feel like we're one of the best teams as far as cohesiveness and really improving. Like our doubles is a good example of that, because I feel like we can compete in doubles against any team in the GLIAC. And like I said, our #1 team, they're 2-2 right now, but they lost to Wayne State. It was a really close match, so they were a couple games away from being 3-1. In all those matches, we lost as a team. But again, our top of our lineup is doing well, and doubles, especially on our team, I think is something that we've improved on.
We heard from Dan Fodrocy about what it's like to come back and coach at your alma mater. You played tennis for 4 years at SVSU as well. Does that make it a little extra special to come back and get your first coaching opportunity here?
Of course, and I think sometimes during competition you have to remind yourself that you're the coach and you can't jump out there and grab a racket, even if you want to. But it's fun to watch, and it definitely, it's kind of in your soul, and if you're a competitive person, it kind of just helps give you that extra push. And your players see it too. They see that you're into it, and it just kind of carries over to the rest of the team, I think.
3 matches this week, all at home. Talk about who you're facing.
Yeah, we have 3, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We start with Lake Erie. They have been struggling this year, and they lost 9-0 to the team we just beat 9-0. So not that we're going to take it lightly, but we're planning on, coming out and playing the same way we did before, and hoping to come out with another victory. Then we move on to Ohio Dominican and Ashland. We lost to both of those teams last year. I think we lost 5-4 to Ohio Dominican, 7-2 to Ashland, but both of those, we lost all 3 doubles matches. So that's where we're going to try to turn things around. Our doubles is stronger this year, and we plan to have some better results this weekend.
Well, hopefully you're able to continue and get a winning streak going. Coach Boehm, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And when we come back, we'll be rejoined by SVSU head football coach Jim Collins. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
This week's Spring Hill Suites Male Athlete of the Week is Jonathan Jennings. Jennings, a sophomore on the SVSU football team, threw for 235 yards on 19 of 29 passing, 89 yards rushing, and 4 total touchdowns in the Axe Bowl victory over Northwood. Jennings connected twice with Nick Galena in the second quarter on a 22 and 34-yard touchdown passes to give SVSU the 14-6 halftime advantage. Jennings would extend the Cardinals' lead to 28-20 when he broke loose on the 36-yard touchdown run on 4th and 1 with 4:50 left in the game. Jonathan Jennings, your male Spring Hill Suites Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. For homecoming, the Cardinals host the Hillsdale Chargers, and it's a big game always for homecoming. But Coach Collins, this one has a little bit more on the line because you're in first place, undefeated in the North Division. Hillsdale undefeated in first place, tied in the South Division.
You know, absolutely, JJ. This is a championship type of game. And, you know, in our league right now, I think every week is a championship game. But, you know, because of the fact that Hillsdale is undefeated along with us, there's a lot at stake. First place is at stake, and we know they're a good football team. You know, when it's all said and done, if you look at records, I think Hillsdale's won more games over the last 2.5 years than anyone in our league. So the challenge is great, and we've got to be up to it.
And you've already had 2 common opponents, which is kind of interesting in such a young season. Hillsdale loses by 3 to Ferris in week 1. Of course, you come back and defeat Ferris by 4 in your opening week. But then also you've got Hillsdale going on the road to Lake Erie, and they played a similar game to the game you had on the road where they had to rally and win.
You know, there's a lot of similarities there with the scores, obviously, and the 2 common opponents. But at the same time, each game is independent of each other. And I really believe that. In this league, you've got to be ready to play on Saturday. You've got to prepare hard for your opponent. People match up against different people and differently. So we've got to be at our best. And that's what it's going to take. And we explain that to our team. We've got to be at our best in order to get this victory.
And Hillsdale, a team that lost a lot on offense from last year. They lost their quarterback, lost their top 2 receivers, but the guy they didn't lose is their running back, Joe Glendenning. 13 touchdowns just in the month of September. So I'm sure he's going to be a focal point of your defensive game plan.
Absolutely, but you can't lose sight of the fact that they've done a great job of throwing the ball. And Miss has done a great job replacing at quarterback. And if you look at the way they beat Grand Valley as an example, they threw for over 300 yards. So they've got a potent passing offense as well as Glendenning in the running game. And I think he's averaging about 35 to 40 carries a game. So he's getting the load in the rushing part of it. And we've got to be able to stop what I think is probably the best offense we'll see up to this point.
And you talk about those carries. SVSU hasn't had any single person with those kind of carries, but you've had 35-plus rushing attempts in each of your first 3 games.
You know, we're committed to the run. And what's been impressive is we've done a good job throwing the football, and we've been really efficient throwing the football, but we're a team that's committed to running the football. We want to get numbers in the run game. And, you know, we think we've got the running backs in order to establish the run. So we've got to stay with it, keep working, and keep getting better.
You mentioned, obviously, Hillsdale is a dual threat on offense. What do you do from a defensive standpoint to try to counteract that, knowing that you have to be wary of both the run and the pass?
You know, the plan's got to be very similar to what it was last week. We got to force them into 2nd and long and 3rd and long. And if we let them establish the run and get 4 or 5 yards on first down, that sets up their play action better, and that also puts them in great 3rd down situations. So the key thing is going to be dominate at the line of scrimmage. And that's what I thought we did a good job of this past week, and that's what it's going to take again. Is we've got to get movement up front. We've got to get, you know, we've got to handle them up front, and then we've got to run to the football.
Another thing, we touched on it earlier, but your team has played very well in the 4th quarter of each of these first 3 games.
We've emphasized the 4th quarter since last December, JJ. I'm not going to lie to you. We've put in a lot of time and effort. Our guys have worked really hard, and understanding that you have to win the 4th quarter. In the GLIAC, so many games will come down to the 4th quarter. And our guys bought into that philosophy, believe in that philosophy, and when the 4 shows on the scoreboard, I think they've played their best football.
And so now you get an opportunity to host Hillsdale for homecoming. Should be another great atmosphere. And really, there seems to be a lot of momentum building around this program right now.
We really appreciate all the support, and I think that's what's helping with the momentum. The campus and the community has really rallied behind us. The people know what's going on, and homecoming is going to be no different. We're going to be out in full force in the community this week, and the word's out, and we've got to keep playing at a level it's going to take to win.
Well, we certainly hope that you are able to keep doing that. Always a big challenge when Hillsdale comes to town. But Coach Collins, good luck against the Chargers.
Thanks, JJ.
And we thank you for joining us, and we hope you have enjoyed this edition of SVSU Red Alert.